guards with guns pointing at me, I dropped in. The overwatered sod squished like a wet sponge as my feet, knees, and hands plunked onto it. I stayed crouched on all fours for several seconds, listening, waiting. I didn't have a cover story if someone came, because what could I possibly say? I lost my key? Oops, sorry, wrong house? I'm running from a bear? Even the truth wasn't credible. Not every house in Beverly Hills has a pool, but where there's a mountain of dirt, there's a big hole. So no surprise this mini mansion had a sizable one. Like the house, the pool was minimalist, with smooth concrete coping that was flush with the emerald lawn. The 8-foot-tall granite waterfall wasn't currently running, so the surface was as still as glass. If you chose to, you could gaze down into that water and see your whole life looking back at you. That's how clear it was. Not that I dared to look. I stood up and scanned the yard. The late October sun had just slipped below the horizon, casting an unbroken shadow as far as the eye could see. I used to be a person who craved sunlight on my face, but the silhouettes that defied the sun were much more enticing these days. If you can't see me, maybe I can't see me. At least that was the hope. The pool house was an indoor-outdoor space, with heavy curtains you could pull for privacy. It had a kitchenette, a fireplace, a driftwood dining table with 6 wicker chairs. The vaulted ceiling had recessed can lights I wouldn't turn on, and a skylight with a shade I wouldn't open. There was a powder room with a marble-top vanity and a tiled outdoor shower. For the last 3 months, the closest I'd gotten to showering was washing my parts one at a time in the hip-high sink in the handicapped stall at the mall. So yes, I was tempted by the shower. But the pool house's most appealing feature by far was the glorious double-wide chaise on the open-air patio. With a flick of a lever, you could recline it all the way flat like a bed, rest your neck on one of the shirt box-sized pillows, and stare up into the darkening sky. If the stars came out that night, I really couldn't tell you, because I was asleep before night had the chance to reveal them. I dreamed of him, as I always did. In my waking hours, I agonized over why the universe would give me such a great big love, only to take it away. But in my dreams, we were together again. We danced barefoot in the sand, our bodies woven together like hungry vines climbing toward forever. When the morning sun stirred me from my sleep, I would have to face the white-hot sting of losing him. And so I slept. Chapter 2. Bree. I heard it before I could see it, the whoosh of water flowing into water. I could feel it in my chest, steady and eager as a drum roll. Some waterfalls are violent, like claps of liquid thunder, crashing and churning and spitting every which way. But this waterfall sounded peaceful, inviting even, like the looping bass line of a favorite song. Luke took my hand and gave it a squeeze, and I felt my wedding band press into my middle finger. I had never worn a ring on that or any finger before, so the feeling of the metal band connecting with my bones surprised me, but not in a bad way. From that day on, every time I felt that sensation, I was reminded of this moment, the very first time I felt like a wife. We had checked into the hotel the day before as Mr. and Mrs., but it felt like a game. I almost wanted to giggle. Luke was perfectly cast as the confident groom to the awkward young bride. The hotel clerk didn't look like she doubted we were really married, but I couldn't help but feel like an actress in a play. This was the kind of happiness from fairy tales or the dreamy rom-coms my mom used to watch.